Hi, I'm Kate, and here I'd like to show the development of my theory of writing throughout this semester. A theory of writing is an explanation of how an author uses their rhetorical situation to make important decisions during the writing process. The rhetorical situation is, in sum, what you want to communicate and to whom, as stated by Blonde Baroque in Writing in the Works. Going into the semester, my theory of writing was very basic. I believed a successful piece of writing was, essentially, something that elicited a reaction from me, whether it was laughter, suspense, fear, enjoyment, or if the piece was simply thought-provoking. I wasn't really focused on the rhetorical situation. When analyzing a writer's rhetorical situation, one needs to analyze the author's audience awareness and how they appear to have used their genre, voice, and tone to appeal to their intended audience in the best way to fulfill their purpose. An example of a successful use of the rhetorical situation is Jane McGonigal's TEDx talk about video games. She knew her audience consisted of people who didn't regularly play video games and likely believed that the games do more harm than good. In order to better appeal to her audience, she acknowledged to them that her ideas may sound a little crazy, and after the initial reaction from the audience, she was able to explain herself to what I believe was an audience with a more open mind, all because she expressed to them that she understood their initial way of thinking. In contrast, an unsuccessful example of audience awareness is Michael Jackson's obituary in the New York Times. The intended audience was Michael's fans, yet the author spent a considerable amount of time talking about Michael's legal troubles. This is inappropriate for the chosen genre as well as the audience. It's unlikely that Jackson's fans would have enjoyed reading about these controversial events, and this portrays the importance of audience awareness. For our first major assignment, our job was to analyze how authors use their rhetorical situation in 3 separate works. When I was initially presented the criteria for this assignment, I was fairly lost and I didn't know where I wanted to take things. I spent a lot of time trying to think of the formulas for success for writers, and it wasn't until I listened to David Livingston's commencement address that I realized what direction I wanted to take. When it comes to the expectations of a commencement address, normally the listener would expect a lengthy, advice-ridden speech. Livingston surprised me, and I'm sure his live audience, when he read a powerful poem he wrote. The confidence in which he delivered his address, accompanied with his thought-provoking, no-nonsense statements, held the attention of the audience, but simultaneously, it broke the unspoken rules of a commencement address. Bending and breaking the set expectations of genres became critical to my theory of writing. I spent a good portion of my first major assignment explaining how Martin Luther King Jr., Billy Collins, and David Livingston all bent certain rules of their chosen genres in order to better engage their audience and fulfill their writing's purpose. Billy Collins bent the rules of a commencement address, but in a much different way than Livingston. Instead of delivering uplifting advice to the graduating class, he focused his speech on a topic nobody wants to think about, especially during a time of celebration. This worked to keep the attention of the audience and fulfilled his speech's purpose of provoking thought. Dr. King broke the rules of his genre when he far surpassed the expected length of a letter in his letter from Birmingham jail. While letters are traditionally short and sweet, King took his time to thoroughly explain the complex and harmful situation to the oppressors. He portrayed his audience awareness when he used the Bible to do so. In his case, breaking this rule was absolutely necessary. Each author analyzed their own rhetorical situation and catered their writings to their audiences, making each piece successful in fulfilling their purpose. Each of them also bent the rules of their chosen genres in such a way that aided them in fulfilling their purpose, and it was this realization that contributed the most to my developed theory of writing. Major Assignment 2 was much different from the previous assignment. I shifted gears from analyzing others' writings to putting together a research paper of my own and using my own rhetorical situation. I decided to research how our diets affect the environment. My topic contained a lot of scientific terms and processes, and this obstacle is what led me to realizing the importance of audience awareness. While my genre was already chosen for me, I still had to establish tone and compose my essay in such a way that was readable for my audience. I had to explain scientific processes and terminology in a way that was both concise and made sense to the reader. I also further developed my theory of writing. When one is writing about a problem, the author should state possible solutions or give the reader a way to find some. Major Assignment 3 played off of Major Assignment 2. I used the same topic, but I presented the information in 3 different genres, 2 of which were my choice. Along with the mandatory infographic, I chose to make a website and write an obituary. At that point in the semester, I was well aware of my intended audience and how I wanted to reach them. I analyzed my rhetorical situation and decided the website would work best due to the amount of information, and the obituary would work well in catching people's attention. Here, I realized the importance of visual appeal in a piece, and I exercised this in each of my genres and took a mental note to incorporate this in my final theory of writing. Presently, after nearly all of the semester's hard work is over, I believe I not only have a better understanding of the rhetorical situation, but I have a newly developed theory of writing as well. In order for a writer to successfully fulfill the purpose of their writing, they must be fully aware of their intended audience and that audience's needs. The audience's needs may include having more or less explanations, altering the expectations of a genre to benefit the piece, having an eye-catching graphic to get the audience's attention, or offering solutions for a presented problem. The author must implement these changes to their work in order to reach their audience and fulfill their purpose in writing. When assessing transfer of learning and considering how I will use what I have learned in this class, it's easy to see that I'll be using these skills in my other courses throughout my college career. I have already used some skills such as considering the rhetorical situation in projects and papers for other courses. It's also easy to see how I'll be using my theory of writing for my future career. I'm an environmental science major, and those in the sciences know that there's tons of writing involved. From lab reports to scientific papers, audience awareness is incredibly important, especially in the specific field of science when our goal is to make widespread global change. Overall, my theory of writing has evolved immensely over the course of the semester. I have learned some very valuable writing skills that will be imperative to keep for my future career if I want to fulfill my long-term goals. I will use my own rhetorical situation throughout my future career and hopefully use it to make the changes that I want to see happen.